I'm so tired of this sex and this language and the stuff that goes on. I'm not sure what's happening to our industry. Look at this guy. This is actually happening, and he's going in syndication. He is coming to your neighborhood. Watch this.
Say that. Say that, Jerry. All right. The death penalty. The bleeding heart. Pablum pukers think it's cruel and unusual punishment. Like hell, I don't think it's cruel or unusual enough. I'm sick and tired of hearing about defendants' rights and prisoners' rights. How about the rights of the people being murdered every day? Because the law has no teeth, the electric chair, I'd hit that damn switch faster than a 2-bit gambler in a room full of slot machines. Murderers and drug pushers, I say, hang the creeps by their testicles!
Here is Morton Downey Jr. right here. What's not to love about Morton Downey Jr.? I taught him everything he knows, incidentally.
Nothing like being with the old master.
Listen, here's the book on Brother Downey. You know that he's the son of the famous singer Morton Downey Sr. A break-your-heart tenor voice. Who will forget that? Certainly not anyone in my neighborhood when I was growing up. His mother was one of the Bennett girls, as in Joan Constance, and your mother's was Barbara.
Barbara.
So, right. Barbara. You're,
the prettiest of all of them.
I'm sure of that.
And I took after her.
It gives me no joy to say she passed. She died in '58, I believe.
Yeah.
You've been married 3 times. You smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day. I'm glad to see you finally went to Merit. Maybe we will have you a little bit longer.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have cut down to 2 packs. I never smoke unless I'm on television or in the studio. I don't smoke at home anymore. And as of tomorrow night at midnight, I'll give them up. Yeah. I think. And as of the next day at noontime, I'll start again.
Show him, I want you to see. Many of you, certainly here in the East, you know Morton Downey Jr. Proudly airs on Sea Caucus's own Channel 9. WWOR, as you know, is a superstation, so all kinds of people see Mort. But he will also be in with his own show, syndicated, MCA television. We wish you well with that, and I hope the moral majority gets on your case and off of everybody else's, including mine. But that's another story. I want to show those of you who've not seen Morton at work. Show him number 4, Brian. Here is, he doesn't think women should be in combat. Can you imagine? Oh, it isn't ready. It's not there yet. It'll be there sometime today during the show. Now it is. Good. Here's Morton. Here's Morton at work.
Let's face it, gang, all right? A woman's place these days is in the House. I mean, maybe even the Senate, all right? But now the radical feminists want to put our women in uniform on the front line. Well, baby, I don't want the only thing standing between me and a Russian tank to be a 36B cup and designer combat boots. Women in combat, next.
Now, how long is he going to last with this stuff? Huh? No. Is he good for television? Yes.
That was a wimpy audience.
Morton Downey Jr. spent 61 days in the Los Angeles County Jail. Tell us why.
Drugs.
Drugs. Bad checks. He exposed himself.
All of those things.
Big mouth. You did bounce a check, so?
Bounced a $63 check.
Now listen to this. He bounced a $63 check, and his father said, "Basta, I'm not picking up your pieces anymore. You're going to learn." And is that pretty close?
Yeah. He and Pat Brown at the time was the Attorney General, and they decided it'd be a good lesson
for me to spend a couple of days in jail.
61 days is a long time.
A lot of time in jail, but a lot of time to learn some things, and I got to write one of my good songs in jail. Framed, Convicted, and Condemned.
Which sold 1 million, I'm sure. When you get time, Brian, we'll see cut 11 because, I'm sorry, not cut 11. I want cut 1. Guess who's been on the Donahue Show before? It's been a while ago, and we'll show you that in just a moment. 1979, Morton Downey Jr. actually guested on this program, and we'll tell you why in just a second. Your childhood, it was not so funny. Your dad was always on the road, and your mother drank, did she not?
Yeah, Mom was a pretty heavy drinker. As a matter of fact, died in '58 from alcoholism, acute alcoholism.
Your mother also left your father, Morton Downey Sr. We should remind this audience, those of you who are not my age, Morton Downey Sr. was a big star and also a very wealthy guy. He did well. And knew the Kennedys, and you grew up with, didn't you? Grew up with the Kennedys,
Yeah,
sort
I
of?
grew up in Hyannisport in the summertime. Dad's house was used as the summer White House by Jack.
Your father, your mother ran away with a guy.
Well, the problem is she didn't run away. She had the guy move into the house with us, and
Oh, I see.
and I thought the guy was a nice guy. I was only 7 years old. You know, he bought me a sailboat. I started calling him Uncle Addison. You know, and
He was not such a big shot actor, huh?
he was. I think he played Red Ryder in the movies or something. You know.
It broke your father's heart.
Yeah.
So your mother did the only thing she apparently felt she could do. She loved this man. It was passionate like you see in the movies, and she takes off with this guy, and the judge says, okay, former ex-Mrs. Downey, you can't have your kids.
Exactly.
So now you are being raised by a single parent who's on the road.
Well, I was actually raised by my grandmother and my Aunt Bessie, all right, up in Wallingford, Connecticut. That was my father's mother and my father's sister.
Yeah.
And Dad would come home every 3 months, you know, when he'd get off the road. So it was really a strange upbringing. And at 10 years old, Zappo away to military school.
You were estranged from not only your father, but others in the family. Well, let's talk about your mother. Your mother was not allowed to see you.
Right.
Now, you worked that out prior to her death, did you not? Did you see?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, when I was 18, when I took off from home, I went and found my mother, and I moved her in with me into an apartment in New York City over here on 59th Street. And in those days, I mean, it was like $95 a month for the apartment. And she lived with me until one day she decided to go back with her then third husband, and I moved to the coast the same day. And she died the day I got to the coast. She smothered to death, choked on her own diaphragm. Too much liquor.
Aspiration, yes. And your father would not pay for your flight to the funeral?
No, that was about $89, and when I called him and told him I'd like some money to go to the funeral, he said, you made your bed, you went to the West Coast against my wishes, come back on your own.
Tough love.
Yeah. Well, tough love, yeah.
But not so loving. I mean, this got to hurt a little bit, huh?
It did in those days, but you know, as I grew older, I realized I was no prize toy myself, and I'm not sure that the guy didn't do all the things that he thought were right. Today, perhaps we'd look upon them with all the liberal pablum pukers around today. It's you know, hey, that's a terrible way to treat a kid. I'm not so sure it is a terrible way.
So you acknowledge that it was painful you were kind of a kid out there like a cork in an ocean. You're with Grandma, and then your dad's on the road, and he's coming back, and apparently he was a good old Irish Catholic authoritarian guy, huh?
Oh, you bet. You know that guy.
You pick up the paper, pick up the paper. I don't have to explain to you why you pick up.
Bet.
Okay. So we're trying to figure out now, Morton Downey Jr. at age 55, putting all these people down on television. Hey, everybody's a wimp. I mean, now, you used to be a liberal, Kennedys. You were a bleeding heart, I guess, at one time, huh?
I'm still a Kennedy liberal. You see, what people don't understand is because I'm loud means I'm frustrated. Because I'm frustrated doesn't necessarily mean I'm a conservative. It means I think a lot of liberal ideas are good, a lot of conservative ideas are good, and it's about time that we put them together and stop giving the public all the bull crap we have.
Really? Hey. Look at the media we got here. Look at these still people over here. This is Morton Downey Jr. This is the next big nationally syndicated, just what we need is another talk show. It doesn't bother me at all.
But you started us all.
Listen, these are all, I gave birth to all these people. you probably shouldn't have punched the homosexual on your show.
Well, no, I think probably what should have happened was I should have really punched the homosexual on my show.
Well, why would you want to physically hit a gay person? You want to be careful about this. It might tell us more about
I never wanted to hit a gay person, all right? That's, the media naturally took that because the man said... You
can't trust media, right?
Media said he was an activist, fine. That was not the reason he was on the show. He was on the show to argue the positions of the Catholic Church, all right? When someone spits at me and tells me to go have intercourse with myself, all right, I have a tendency to become upset. Right?
Is that really what happened?
As when I move towards him and tell him not to say that, and he picks up his microphone, and I am then fearful I'm going to be hit with it, my natural reaction is to swing to knock the microphone out of the way. Unfortunately, I grazed his chin.
And the, well, see, if you encourage this, we should say, for the record, you were found not guilty by a judge, although a $500,000 suit is pending, and that program, incidentally, has never seen the light of day. It's not aired, true?
No, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, we couldn't air it because they emptied the studio out about 10 minutes later when a bomb threat was phoned in.
Uh-huh. Okay, here is Morton Downey Jr. on the Donahue Show. When we were in Chicago, this is 1979. Don't tell him. Wait a minute, Brian. Why is he on the show? I mean, don't you know anything? He's a right-to-lifer. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Wilkies are the guests, and Mort is in the audience, and this is the point. He accompanied the Wilkies because he was politically active in the right-to-life movement. Get a load of the haircut here on both of us. Mr. Downey, you are politically active in the pro-life movement, aren't you?
Yes.
You have targeted certain members of the United States Congress for defeat because of their positions on this issue. Could you name some of those people?
Well, on the Senate side, you've got Birch Bayh from Indiana, Bob Packwood from Oregon, Leahy from New Hampshire, John Culver from Iowa.
These are congressmen. The
no,
first
these
two
are
were...
senators.
Oh, they're all
these
senators,
are senators,
okay.
right. George McGovern and Church.
Frank Church.
Frank Church, yeah.
My understanding regarding Senator Church's position is that he is against abortion except in cases of incest and rape.
Well, that's, you know, we're standing back and we're looking at that kind of an exception and saying that it's all right to murder some of the time. They do not send the rapist to the gas chamber. I don't see any reason why you should send the child, the victim.
All right. What do you think? Does that surprise you? Yeah. He looks like such a good boy there, doesn't he? What happened to him?
Incidentally, you notice that all of those senators except Packwood is gone.
You really, it is true. The right wing targeted Birch Bayh, certainly bought it in 1980 with the Reagan landslide. McGovern is no longer in the Senate. Who was the other one? Well, Leahy's still there. Church, may he rest in peace, also was defeated and subsequently died. Okay, what else is there to say about... are you still involved in the Right to Life effort? Or?
I'm still involved in the sense that I don't take an active role in it any longer. I'm still involved in the sense that I think there should be some protection for the preborn, but I also think, and some of my Right to Life friends will be upset, I have modified my position to the point where I can understand forcible rape in the life of the mother and incest.
You're getting a little soft around the edges now, are you? See, there goes the neighborhood. Where's this absolute, you know? What we need are people...
There are no absolutes, Phil.
That's not what Jimmy Swaggart tells me from the pulpit.
Well, we absolutely know one thing. Jimmy Swaggart hasn't introduced us to his girlfriend.
No, but you'll pardon this self-indulgence. The prostitute who claims to be his partner, who is appearing in the upcoming issue of Penthouse magazine, will be appearing shortly on the Donahue Show. I'm trying to catch up with Morton Downey Jr. Now let me show you something that is not so funny, but rather loving in its own way. Your brother has AIDS.
Yeah.
And he is a guest on the Morton Downey Show, Morton Downey Jr., and that has yet to air. Is that so?
That hasn't aired. Tony asked me if he could do the show, and I said yes if he really wanted to. as he had never come out of the closet on this before.
He's gay.
Yeah. And Tony, knowing the position that I take on that type of lifestyle, thought that it would be a good show to come out on.
And what position do you take on that lifestyle?
Well, I take a position that perverted love is just not right, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual. The anus is an exit, not an entrance.
Are we still on? Don't say it. Here is, and this is what, from the Bible? I mean,
I don't think...
From on high, this perversion is something you decide what's perverted, huh?
Well, you decide who gets AIDS, huh? And how do you get it?
Well, I ask a baby born of AIDS who gets it and how you get it. Here is a small piece of that program in which Morton Downey Jr. Expresses to his brother. This program is yet to air. I assume this will air after you're in syndication. It's a very, very nice brotherly moment here. Maybe if everybody had a brother like you, we wouldn't have to worry about this. However erroneous and misguided may be your position on this, morally speaking, who is to argue with this act of love for your brother? Roll his tape.
This is my brother. I'm proud as hell of him. This is my audience. I'm proud as hell of you. And I hope you don't die. I love you, pal. I love you.
Well, someday I hope you'll be able to see the light on this, Mort. This is not, first of all, you don't get to say whose lifestyle is perverted and who isn't.
Fortunately, we do get to say, as individuals, whose lifestyle is perverted
Not
and
when you have mutually consenting adults behind a club on. What kind of country do you want to live in?
Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right, all right?
But get the brown shirts with the flashlights coming in to see what position the people are in.
But I'm certainly entitled to my position as you're entitled to yours. You're taking a position now.
Okay, I got to show you this, and then we'll let this audience chat with Brother Morton Downey Jr. Here is his father on the Ed Sullivan Show, May 2nd, Milton Berle, thank you. Milton Berle introducing Morton Downey Jr.'s father, May 2nd, 1950. Roll the tape.
Morton, we're all prepared for you. We have a piano and every...
Oh, great, oh, great. Whippoorwills call, and even at night, we'll hurry to my blue heaven. A turn to the right, then a little white light will lead you to my blue heaven. You'll see a smiling face, then a fireplace and a cozy room. Then a little nest that nestles where the roses bloom. Just Molly and me, and baby makes three. We're happy in my blue heaven.
Hey. Morton Downey Jr. You like that, huh? Seeing Pops? Morton Downey Jr. Died in 1985, but not before a reconciliation. Is that how we want to say it?
Yeah, you bet.
You went back and you hugged your daddy, did you?
He married a wonderful woman by the name of Anne Van Gerbig, and she was so instrumental in bringing that whole family back together again. And in the final 5 years of his life, I guess my pop and I were as close as any two friends could ever be.
And he'd be proud of you now, you think?
Well, he'd be a little upset that I'm so outspoken, but he'd fight for my right to be that way.
You think so?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Yeah, Phil?
Yeah.
I'm a psychologist practicing in the New York City area, and I feel you're sitting with a person who needs some serious psychological help. Downey.
It's pretty tough when you guys have to go out looking for business.
Downey.
You usually create enough of it yourself.
Mr. Downey, let me speak, please. This isn't your show, Mr. Downey. I've watched and analyzed.
And anybody who'd go to see you should have his head examined.
I've watched and analyzed.
Make your point, sir.
I've watched and analyzed your show, Mr. Downey, and I feel you use serious subjects and have exploited to people to build up your own ego. The music you play, the bodyguards when they come out, your degrading manner, all indicates control, Mr. Downey. You're pretentious and you're egotistical, and I think you should get some help.
I'm all of those things, sir, and I wouldn't put a nickel in your pocket because you probably need more help than I do.
There's one thing in being outspoken. There's one thing in being outspoken, but there's one thing in being crude.
Yeah,
I'm not only crude, I'm rude. Get lost.
Why would a guy who went to work so hard to get a degree in psychology, why wouldn't you know better than to set yourself up like this?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to point out to people how sick this man is.
Why don't you give the people enough credit for common sense and we'll let them decide?
There's one thing in being entertaining, but there's another thing in trying to exploit people and to bring people in so that you can build up your own ego. And you deal with some serious subjects that I deal with in therapy, and you exploit these people. And you have these people in the audience, and they cheer you. You come out and you give high fives, and you do all of this.
I got a break. I truly do. I
Get
do.
some serious help.
Interesting how much you watch my show, sir.
Well, I only to analyze.
We're in New York City with Morton Downey Jr., and we'll be back in just a moment. This is not a platinum, then, is it? Or what is it?
No, hardly.
Yes, sir.
It's a lead.
Yeah.
I want to ask Mort, what do you think about the Surgeon General's report? And I do hope you quit smoking. Where do you get your sock wear, your hosiery? And are you religious?
Yeah, I got two questions there, right?
Are you religious was the third.
Surgeon General's report, first of all, I think when he lumps in heroin and nicotine as equally dangerous drugs, I think that belittles the danger of heroin. So therefore, that's the reason I'm giving up cigarettes, to prove that if you can give up cigarettes, the Surgeon General's right, you can give up heroin, all right? Second question, Red Sox. Years ago, Joseph P. Kennedy told my father, he said, any guy who wears brown shoes and red socks is a guy who's never going to be successful. So I've been wearing them ever since, and I damn near didn't make it. And am I religious? Bless you, my son.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Have you ever had any threats on your life?
Yes, I have. Fortunately, the folks were bad shots.
Thanks for waiting. I'm glad you called. Go ahead. Just a moment. Are you? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here, Phil. Mr. Downey, I just wanted to let you know that you have a new fan in Massachusetts. I had watched your show a few times, and to be honest with you, I did think you were a little on the obnoxious side. But last night, I watched the show where you had John Wayne Gacy's supposed girlfriend on, and the way that you exposed her as a fraud, I was very impressed, because I had seen her on a couple other talk shows that actually fell for this woman. And the way that you researched and went at her, I was very impressed with the work that you put in.
I have a great staff, thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad. Your show will air in Boston?
Yes, sir.
I wonder how long.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, you'll do well in Boston. They're crazy about you in Boston. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know if your father died with a sizable estate, and if you shared in that estate, and if you did, to what extent?
And can you lend this woman $20 till?
Yes. My father died with a sizable estate, and he left it right where it belonged, with a wife who had been very loyal to him and took good care of him.
I have to give you credit. I've watched a few times your show, and you were very nasty. Phil is so nice and polite.
That's what...
I have to give you credit.
Thank you. Right. See, if he would only be nice and polite.
Aren't I being nice and polite today?
Very nice and polite. Yes, huh? Be careful. Yes.
I was just curious, when you have people on your show, are you always sure about your position? Do you ever alter it? Do you allow them to express themselves?
Oh, sure. I let them express themselves, and there have been areas where my thinking has been ameliorated somewhat. But, yeah, I go on with an opinion. I don't come on as a host. I'm an advocate. I have a position. I believe in it. I equate it.
Just to make, I don't want to pass over lightly the issue of your brother who has AIDS. You were the firstborn. How many kids? How many siblings?
There were a total of 5 kids. The oldest was adopted. because my mother didn't think she could have children. Then I came along, and some people said, well, she still can't have children.
Of course you shouldn't have.
And then I had my sister and 2 younger brothers, Kevin and Tony.
Tony being the youngest?
No, Kevin's the youngest.
Uh-huh.
Kevin's the youngest.
And when did your brother share with you his own, the nature of his sexual status, if at all?
When he was about...
Community as a perverted, an active perversion.
No, I didn't say any intimate. That's all right, Phil. What I said was...
Oh, you were going to get
I can understand. No, I can understand 2 guys walking up and hugging each other. Hey, it's great to see you. I'll do that myself, all right?
Yeah.
I can understand a guy kissing someone on the cheek. I mean, the Italians do it, you might be blown away the next day. You know, but I understand all these things. I just don't understand the purpose of sex is procreation, all right? Or a little bit of recreation. But it certainly isn't to act as a suppository.
I mean, where would America be if brave men did not speak out like this? Are you there? I'm glad you waited. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question has to do with AIDS.
Yes.
And his subject with AIDS. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. And about AIDS, what I want to know is, you, Morton Downey, you have no qualms about ridiculing other people on issues, on sensitive issues, yet when it comes into your own family, you have no problem with being sympathetic to the issue. And I want to know why it's like that.
Well, let me tell you something. You have never seen me bang anyone on the issue of AIDS, lady. And I'll be sympathetic with anyone who has a problem. I don't care if they're gay, if they're black, if they're white, whatever color, whatever race, whatever sexual or political persuasion they are. If they need my help, I'll give it to them.
Over here.
Morton, has there ever been a subject that you've been asked to not discuss on TV?
Yeah, I was asked not to discuss the AIDS subject for a long time until the lawsuit against me was over with the gay activist.
Yeah.
Morton, now that you've made it into the public eye, do you think that you can calm down some of those antics and the audience?
And be more like me, polite. Yeah. Did you hear what this woman said there?
It's a nice, calm audience. I mean,
I'll tell you, let me tell you, pal, I wish that were possible, all right? But that's not my persona. My way of being is the way I am on television, the way I am out on the street, the way I am in a restaurant or in your home. I'm not going to be a cosmetic phony just because television wants me to be.
I just want to say I've seen your show just a few times, and I really never liked you. But today, you really make a lot of sense.
Well, isn't that? See? No? Tell him. You don't like him. Didn't like him then, don't like him now, huh? I mean, what's not to love here?
I just think you're too totally obnoxious on the show.
Okay.
You put people down too much. And
okay.
Do you watch the show?
Occasionally. And then I turn it off when when I can't take it anymore. I get too loud.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I remember Joe Pine from a few years ago. Was he your first influence? And also, I never heard of you before this year. What were you doing before then?
Well, I don't remember Joe Pine because obviously I'm not as old as you are. And you never heard of me because I was a total and complete failure before then.
Are you there, caller? Hi.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I watch this show a lot. And the reason why I think I watch it is because it reminds me so much of Archie Bunker. Was he a big influence on you?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Did Archie Bunker have anything to do with the way you are?
Well, I hope he had more to do with the way I think than Norman Lear did.
You got it all, let me tell you.
You're watching, huh?
I'm watching.
Listen, who can he hurt? I mean, this is America.
I don't think he's hurting anybody.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Hi, I'd like to know if you ever regretted anything you've done on the show.
Yes, I have on a couple of occasions. There was one young lady that I got angry with on a show, and during the break, I felt bad the way I had jumped her, and I went up and apologized to her, and she said, well, you said I'm a bitch, I think you're a bastard, and that was it. That was it. She wouldn't accept my apology, but at least I made it to her.
Let's see how this audience feels about Morton Downey Jr. in this excerpt from his program. You're the jury. You'll tell us how you feel about this. Roll the tape.
You and I look about equally healthy, all right? You're a vegetarian, right?
A vegan.
You're what?
I'm a vegan.
A vegan?
A vegan. I abstain.
Let me hear what she has to say here. Let me hear. Go ahead. You abstain from what?
Yes, I abstain from all animal products, including dairy and clothing.
And clothing. I I eat raw hamburger.
And what is your
I eat
cholesterol?
Raw fish. I smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day.
Well, can I say something?
I have about 4 drinks a day. I'm 55 years old, and I look as good as you do, Vic.
These audiences. That's okay. Wait a minute. We allow one man per show, sir.
I happen to agree with what you're saying, but what I want to ask is, do you have any political ambitions, or would you care to make a prediction?
God help us all if I ever was in the White House, all right? And would I care to make a prediction? Yes. I think Phil Donahue will be a United States Senator someday.
On one of your previous shows, you spoke about adoption. Did you get the baby?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my mother is giving birth October 9th, and my wife and I will have the baby October the 13th.
So you've met the mother who's pregnant?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, you won't be in there for the delivery, or will you?
I don't know. Maybe my wife will. I think she'd be embarrassed if I was.
Now, this was not a surrogate arrangement.
No, it's not a surrogate arrangement.
It's a woman who's pregnant, didn't want to be, and...
Pregnant, didn't want to be, and was frankly going to have an abortion, and a friend of mine talked her out of it and told her that I was looking for a baby, and she was willing to give it to me.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Not take garbage and to not have people tell them lies and accept those lies as truths.
Yes, ma'am.
Morton, does your wife support your controversial positions?
My wife is a pablum puker, all right? And for that, I am grateful. And no one on my staff supports my controversial positions, and that's what I want. I don't want a bunch of yes people around me.
Yes, sir.
Seems to me, Mort, everybody that doesn't agree with you calls you obnoxious or something like that. It's just not fair. No. I watch you a lot, and a lot of times I don't agree, but at least you're down to earth. You're not always made up or something.
Thank you, pal.
Do you have any feelings at all about me? Have you ever seen my program? No, I'm kidding. Here. Yes, sir. I'm going to agree with whatever this guy has to say.
Don't want to mess with Jumbo Jim back here.
Do you ever have a problem getting guests on your show? I mean, knowing the way that you're going to treat them when they get there?
No problem getting them on or getting them off.
Yeah.
I think obviously you're a TV personality and you're interested in ratings, but referring to women as a 36B is so blatantly offensive. Do you feel any social conscience when you're having a child? Would you want your son referring to women as that or your daughter?
I think it's only blatantly offensive to a 32A.
There's no response to that.
Yeah. I don't know if this is not going to be understood until we get into announcing jock sizes. You know, that's when, yes.
Mort, I just want to say that I think that you should be more arrogant, more abusive, and more obnoxious. All right, as I've seen your show develop, I think you're becoming a little bit too understanding, and you're becoming like the other talk shows.
Yeah, because he's starting to sound like me. That's... Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I like to know where you find your audiences.
They write in for tickets, just like they do on this show, and there happens to be a 13-and-a-half-month wait right now for the tickets.
Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, Morton Downey, you seem to be very hot on an issue while it's on, but you had a show about POWs. You swore you were going to wear a bracelet, and where's your bracelet now?
My bracelet is being worn by my wife now, ma'am.
Oh, it is? So
my MIA bracelet, yes.
Okay. It just seems like for the hour you're all excited about it and you don't hear it anymore.
I'm glad you called.
Thank you.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, I'm a faithful viewer of Morton Downey, and I'd seen a show in the past with him, and he had, transsexuals on, and there was this gorgeous woman, excuse me, who was, previously a man. Okay, and it was clear to me that Morton was making eyes at her, and I just like... What this was, that. I'd like to know what his wife thought of it.
What my wife thought of it?
Right.
Well, we all went out for dinner afterwards. So there was no problem. My wife understands that I will always look at a pretty woman, and I think every woman is pretty.
Really? Even if she was previously a man?
Do I think she was previously a man?
No, but do you think she was...
Sir, I really didn't get down to examining that.
Hang on a moment.
I'd like to quickly clarify something. The lady that you insulted on the last clip, I happen to know her personally. She's the director of the New Jersey Animal Rights Alliance. In short, what she was saying is she's not against all animal testing. She's against certain testing of just unnecessary, cruel, and unusual. And they had a big march in Trenton a short time ago. My question is this. What about any of the stacked audiences that you have? Do you think that's fair? I hear that...
Not stacked, pal.
I hear they're stacked.
Not stacked.
That's what I hear.
You hear wrong. You hear wrong. Get a hearing aid, because they're not stacked.
You don't think
Never stacked. That audience, people write in for it. When an audience is going to have extra guests in it, we tell the opposing side and the other side, you can bring 5 people, you can bring 10 people. Each side gets the same number of people. Never stacked.
Over here.
I grant you that you have the privilege to air these opinions and so forth, but I just want to know if you feel any obligation to the media audience to not use such terrible words. I mean, for the kids that watch you, young kids really like to watch you, but you know when you use...
I try to watch that language. The really bad stuff I don't use, ma'am, because I don't use it at home. I mean, slime ball and that's not bad language. Yeah.
Why have you decided to have a baby at 55?
Because my wife is 31, and my wife, unfortunately, can't have children and wants a child of her own, and I want to do what my wife wants to do.
Yes.
Hi. The way that you refer to women as the 32B, wouldn't you feel some offense if someone referred to your wife or your daughter as 32B?
You know, I'm only doing that kidding around, all right? And if we can't laugh at ourselves, obviously we can't laugh at what's going on in Washington, D.C., and we shouldn't.
Yes.
Morton, I noticed when the tape with your father singing was on that you were mouthing the words. Did you ever think you might be a singer?
Until I started singing, then I realized I would.
Have you any other children with your previous marriages?
Yes, I have 3 daughters, 3 beautiful daughters, Melissa, Tracy, and Kelly. Melissa and Tracy have given me 5 beautiful grandchildren.
Hi, go ahead. I'm glad you waited.
Thank you.
Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Mr. Downey, on a recent show, I heard you once blurt out during a heated debate that you at one point had a daughter that was attacked.
I was once what, sir?
You had a daughter that was attacked.
That's correct, sir.
I was wondering if maybe you take such a hard-line stance on some of the prosecutions because perhaps this attacker got off or was uncaught. Is that a reasonable assumption?
The attacker was uncaught, that's true, and it was 2 attackers, not 1. And that's not the reason I take a hard line. I take a hard line simply because I think we have tied the hands of the police in this country. I think any guy who attacks a woman should be castrated, all right? Nothing else.
That's castration does a 10 in our audiences almost all the time.
I just want to know how much of what you do is just acting, because it seems to me that you're acting a lot of times.
Well, when I first started off on television 9 months ago, none of it was acting because I didn't know what to do on TV. I'd never been on before. Since I've been on 9 months now, some of the things that I've done on shows that I see work, frankly, get stored in the computer and I do them again. So I guess that part would be acting, yes.
I'd like to know your opinion of Phil as a fellow talk show host. I've heard you refer to him as a wimp on one of your shows.
Gee, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, all right? I think, you know, frankly, Phil Donahue is the grandfather of all talk show hosts. He's the guy who made it possible. He's the guy who made it possible for all of us to be able to do this. And while I don't agree politically with his positions or his philosophies, he's one hell of a human being, and I'm delighted to know it.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Morton Downey Jr., another talk show, is soon to go national, although he is seen across the country on the Superstation now. Can be reached at WWOR Television 9 Broadcast Plaza, Secaucus, New Jersey. The zip is 07094. Maybe we should put the accent on the first syllable. Secaucus, New Jersey. Are you there? I'm glad you waited, caller. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
I turned the TV on when I came home from work, and I overheard Mr. Downey comment about females being in the military in the front lines.
Yes.
My husband and I are both service members, and we've been service members for over 7 years. I'd be curious, and I wish you'd be tactful on this response, Mr. Downey, on how you feel about a female running on a ticket, presidential ticket.
I'm all in favor of female running on the presidential ticket. I think it's about time we had a woman down there to straighten out the mess that the men have made.
All right. Are you there? I'm glad you waited, caller. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi. I have absolutely never seen this man's show. I cannot tell you how happy I am that I have never seen this man's show. He is the biggest... I can't use the word I wanted to use. The woman on the phone told me not to. He is just the biggest moron I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's going to be here with you for what certainly he and his loved ones and those who are syndicating his program hope will be a long time.
Well, I'll absolutely never watch the show.
Well,
good riddance, lady.
I'm glad you waited. Go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Morton. I watched you once, and I got so fed up with your attitude, it wasn't funny. You're rude and obnoxious to all your guests. You have no respect for anybody on this world besides yourself.
I see my wife called in, huh?
Are you there? I'm glad you waited. Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, I am. I have a question for Mort. Mort, I love your show, and I have a question for you. Did you ever find out why the Reverend Sharpton never showed up on your show on Twana Brawley? It really bothered me.
Sure, because he knew he was going to be grilled. He knew he wasn't going to get away with the baloney that he's been pulling in the last couple of months.
Over here, please.
How did you get your start in television?
I got my start through a fellow by the name of Bob Pittman, who was the inventor of MTV. He heard my show in Chicago and thought it'd be very interesting to put on television.
Radio show, yeah.
Are you still going to pursue the AM radio show?
They're negotiating on that right now, yeah.
Yes.
Do your daughters think you're very obnoxious, too?
No, I have fortunately never hit any of my daughters, never had to. They're wonderful girls.
Yes.
Were you shy as a child, or have you ever always been so outspoken?
No, I was very shy as a child, and I'm still really shy now.
Yes.
I saw you on Geraldo, and you said that the reason you insult people and totally degrade them is because you want them to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But what does calling someone fat have anything whatsoever to do with what they feel about the Contras?
Well, on that particular show that you're talking about, I was accusing the guy of being a Nazi. He said he wasn't, all right? When I called him a fathead, he got angry, stood up, gave me a sig heil, and walked out. I knew he was a Nazi.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific objectives on each individual show?
Yes, to be able to survive, to be able to get good ratings, to be able to entertain, and hopefully to be able to inform.
Yes, sir, over here.
Oh, hi, Mort. I would like to say hello. I watch your show every night, and I love it, and I love you. And I would like to know if you sing as good as your dad.
No, nobody ever sang as good as my dad.
Yes, ma'am.
Mort, you like seniors on your shows?
I love seniors on my show.
Glad. We have plenty of fire inside,
Oh, good.
even though our hair is white.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, look at
Thank you.
Phil's still got plenty of fire.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
In the opening segment, you expressed your opinion on women in combat. What about women in the Army in general?
Well, as a matter of fact, my daughter, Kelly, wanted to go into the Air Force. I was very supportive of her. She later changed her mind. I'm glad she's studying to be an airline pilot
I'm out of time, but go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Phil, will you come on my show with me?
Oh,
Please. Please.
Get attacked and have all the people yelling at me.
And I hope my audience is as nice as yours is.
What is this?
Fees paid by the following.
At Volvo, we've been safety testing our cars almost as long as we've been building them, because we want to make sure our customers keep coming back.